And welcome to Real Dudes Podcast. I'm your host, Karrington, and today we got my brother, Donovan.
What's up?
Donovan, we have been out of the game, the podcasting game, for a little while, but we've been creating content still, just
Yep.
not in the audio space. So, what
Yeah.
have you been doing on our YouTube channel?
Well, I've been doing just board game stuff, and you may have already seen I did a tutorial video on Fields of Fire. It was requested, so I did some research to make sure I got most of everything correct, and filmed it.
Perfect,
Got that
perfect.
done.
Yeah, and it seems to be doing pretty well as far as YouTube channel is concerned.
hmm
The views are
hmm
up more than our normal average videos are doing, and view time's up on that one as well. So
Yeah,
good job with it.
it's crazy, crazy. Thank you, thank you. I was surprised. I'm just as surprised as you are that it did as well as it did.
And the reason why I brought up the YouTube channel because we're actually recording both audio and video for this. So
Mhm.
for our video people here on YouTube, hey, what's up? They can see I've got a little animated background, and that's not just any background. It's a Star Wars
Mhm.
animated background for good reason. Because I
Very good reason.
was working out earlier today, Donovan, and all of a
hmm
sudden I just get a text from you like, "We have to talk about this. We have to talk about this now." Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We do have to talk about this now.
Well, what is this?
It's fresh. Well, Oculus just released Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge
hmm
today, as of this recording today, and wanted to get a review in because it was a fresh game, super fresh.
All right. I mean, I know we're mainly an indie channel, but but it's Star
Yeah,
Wars. We love Star Wars so much.
yeah. That's what I said. That's why I brought it up, even though it's not quite indie. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry, we have some indie stuff that we'll be reviewing as well coming up.
hmm hmm
Um,
hmm
but it's Star Wars. So, what is the name of the game that it's Star Wars related? Because I know it's not Squadrons.
Oh, the game that we're talking about today.
Yeah,
Tales from Galaxy's Edge is the name of the game.
it's an interesting name because it reminds me of
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge. If that's a Disney World, I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge yet, but I assume there's some connection.
Yeah, it's huge connection because it takes place on the same fictional, of course, it's fictional planet of Batu.
hmm
Uh, actually, in the basically in Black Spire Outpost, there's like a little cantina that you're where you start, and it overlooks the Millennium Falcon.
hmm
So the Imagineers worked with ILM, and they made it canon to where when you go to the park and you look in that little area, that's where the game takes place mostly.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
so
I
I thought
wish
that
I
was
could
like a
go.
like yeah, same.
I,
Uh,
This is
but
me
yeah,
being to
yeah,
Florida twice. I still haven't gone to Star Wars Edge for good reason because of a pandemic. And when I have gone to Florida, I don't go anywhere.
yeah.
um, but yeah, that's really cool. This
It's
is
really neat.
episodic though, right? Just like Vader Immortal.
Sort of. I don't know exactly what their DLC is gonna be yet. I know it's gonna contain more tales from the bartender Sleazel Slack. It's
hmm
kind of a mouthful, but he's the one that actually is the one that's telling you all these little tidbits of a story, and he transports you to that time, and you play in the story, kind of like a mini side quest.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
well, let's just
So
get
there's
this out the
like,
way first of
yeah,
all. It's only available as a VR game, and right now it's only Oculus, either the Quest or Quest 2, correct?
correct. Yep,
And you're not
as of right now.
because Vader Immortal eventually did come to PS4, and it
hmm
might be on Steam now. I can't remember.
It should be on Steam now. Yeah.
Yeah, so eventually it did come to other platforms, but right now they're treating it the same way. It's Oculus only right now, Oculus Quest
Mhm.
only.
Yeah. Yeah. So I looked in the because even in the main menu of the game, there's a like DLC content, and there are a couple of lock slots. So it looks like there's 3 DLC as of right now that is planned to come out, and I know they said the next one is going to be coming in 2021 sometime.
Okay. Well, it does make sense if this is more of a full-fledged game, more so than Vader Immortal, and it's not as episodic, because it was $25, and Vader Immortal it's $10 for each chapter.
hmm
So when I first saw the $25, and I'm like, I don't know, but if it's just a full-fledged game on its own, I'll probably pick it up.
Okay. Yeah, it's a full fledged game if you want to call it that.
hmm
It's like the story, it took me about 3.5 hours to beat, like just the main story.
Mm-hmm.
But the side quests that are included in the story, that takes it up to about, you know, say 4 to 5 hours total.
Okay. Have you?
Um, Maybe six.
So it took about 3 hours just to do the main storyline. Was it good? Was it worth it?
It was all right. I mean, the main premise of the story is you have suspicious cargo. It gets lost, and you try to find it, and then it's kind of like minor spoilers of what you actually find in the containers, and then when everything is said and done, it kind of just ends.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of ends in like a open world kind of way, where yeah, that was the last story, that was the last quest that you did, but there's still other things that you can do afterward.
So what made you go, Carrington? We have to talk about this on the show right now.
Well, it's just because it's such a polished VR game for
Mm-hmm.
Quest anyway, and it's kind of rough for these kinds of games that are releasing now because a lot of these new VR titles, they're not like 10, 15, 20, 30 hour experiences, and I think there's only one uh, Oculus game that's at least 15 hours, and that's only one out of their entire library.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to hold it up to the AAA standard, your stereotypical AAA standard, because I know we had like Alyx came out earlier this year, and that set the bar. And I mentioned it when it came out that it was either gonna help the VR industry or it was gonna kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, it looks like it's slowly killing it because now all these other games that are coming out, everybody on the internet is gonna be comparing it to Alyx. They're gonna be like, well, it doesn't hold up to the story as Alyx. It doesn't hold up to the depth as Alyx did. It doesn't have, the same kind of mechanics that blew our minds as Alyx did, and it's not as long as Alyx is. And that's kind of the trouble with Galaxy's Edge now, because ILM was like, hey, this is kind of a in between Vadar Immortal and a game where it has got some stories, but it's got way more gameplay elements, which I enjoyed thoroughly.
Well, it's funny you brought up Half-Life Alex because when I was looking up reviews, because I'm still back and forth about it, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
end up getting it when I get an Oculus 2. Um, I saw a lot of people like the user reviews are still giving it 5 stars. They're like, this is just as great as Half-Life Alex. And I'm like, well, that's the
Yeah.
bar I mean, Half-Life Alex, I've played it. It sets a bar for sure. So if they're comparing it to
Mm-hmm.
Half-Life Alex and still giving it 5 stars and still saying it's a great Star Wars experience, I gotta get it.
It deserves it. So I kind of like wanted to get all the negative points out of the way first before I
Gotcha.
just ooze positivity over the game,
All right. Hey,
because
what
there's
up?
a ton of good things about it.
All
A
right.
ton of good things about it. Uh,
Are there any more
but yeah, that's
negatives?
yeah, just a couple more negatives. Like because we're talking about gameplay, it's kind of short.
Mm-hmm.
For something that's story driven. Um, well, now I just forgot
Length?
the other ones. What?
Length? You said length?
Yeah, lengthwise, that was kind of a letdown, but it didn't ruin anything for me. Um, and I've been seeing a lot of people wanting like more lightsaber action in this game, and I'm thinking you already had 3 episodes of Vadar Immortal with a lightsaber dojo in each episode.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted something different, and that's what we got. And that's what I love about it. So like the whole now that I'll start talking about the positives, maybe that last negative will get in there somewhere.
Sure.
Uh, the mechanics are just really great. It's super smooth, super well polished. Oh, that was the other negative. Now that it came up, was some of the controls can kind of be a little finicky, like when you're trying to grab stuff from your belt. It's just kind of weird because it always wants to go to the center, and you kind of want to grab something else, like something from your inventory. Oftentimes, when I would try to grab something from my inventory, it would go to my multi tool instead that was on my belt. And every time I would just kind of rest, the hands would always default to the multi tool that was in the center of your vest, and I had my hand like way over here. So it's kind of something that they could definitely fix, but just it kind of was annoying a little bit when I was trying to like grab for something else and it just kept grabbing the multi tool.
You also have an because you played it on Oculus 2, correct? Correct. Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah, played
Have
on
you
the Oculus Quest 2.
have you tried switching to the Quest 1 to see if it makes a difference?
I have not because I gave it away.
Oh, okay,
To
already? Okay.
yeah, yeah, I gave it away to a family that didn't have one, and they've been wanting one. So I was like, hey, I got an extra. Now I got the Quest 2. So I just gifted it to them.
Okay.
But I would say, because I would switch while I still had the Quest 1, I would switch back and forth,
Mhm.
and there would definitely be some graphical downgrades. I would say it would look just a little bit worse.
Mhm.
Uh, that's about it. That's
Okay.
about it.
All right, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so gameplay mechanics are just awesome. Blasters are really cool. There's only four of them that you'll get to use. There's like two blaster pistols, one blaster rifle, and one scatter gun, the shotgun.
Mhm.
Um, so those are only four, and they kind of are used like Breath of the Wild, where you get so much use out of it, and you can't use it anymore. You got to ditch it. So there comes into a point of where like you just loot from all the enemies you defeat, and that's really fun. And they drop credits, and credits you can buy like training droids, like the ones you see Luke training against.
Mhm.
You use those a lot. There's like a regular one. There's one with the shield, and then there's one that like I think kamikazes somebody because you just throw it and then it'll blow up on a target. That's the cool thing is with these training droids, you just take them out and you throw them, and they just activate while you throw them, and they go mark enemies for you, and then they start shooting at them to kind of help you out. And that's another thing I was not expecting was the difficulty of the game. I was on normal difficulty and I died a lot, and I mean a lot. Like this game is hard. It's hard, and I really want to play it on the hardest difficulty on my next playthrough. But that was one thing that kind of I was shocked about was how difficult it is. It is insane because Vadar Immortal. I don't think you can die in that game. At least I'm not aware that
if
you can.
I don't if you can, it's probably only during like the more intense ones like after like for example at the end of Act 1 you're fighting
Mhm.
with Darth Vader for a little bit. I could maybe see that point, but like up until that point I don't see you dying at all.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Like I don't I've never died in Vadar Immortal in
And
my
there's no difficulty in
playthroughs.
Vader Immortal either. It's just the experience.
Yeah, and that's kind of what sets Tails apart from Vader is that Tails is more of a game
Mhm.
and it has more game elements like your inventory. Like there are thermal detonators too that you can pick up and use. That's amazing to hold a thermal detonator and just chuck it at the Guavian Death Gang, which is the main enemy,
Mhm.
and it's so much fun.
So question really quick before you go on,
Mhm.
because you're saying a lot of things and I have questions every time.
Oh,
So, so with the weapons, the blasters, the four different blasters, in
mhm.
particular the blaster rifle,
Mhm.
is it go the very stereotypical but great VR mechanic where you have to hold it with two hands as opposed to a blaster where you're probably holding it with one?
You can do both, but the spread, the blaster bolt spread,
Mm-hmm.
is greater than if you hold it with two hands. If you hold it with two hands, it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Um, but you don't have to. And holding it with two hands is way more smooth and way easier than some of the other VR shooters that are out there. Uh, Even something
Population
like
one?
Population One,
Yeah.
it's kind of a little bit smoother than that, like
Okay.
a little bit better.
Which don't worry guys, we will be reviewing Population one because it is an indie game, so we have been
Yeah,
playing it. But moving on.
it's great. But yeah, so and even the scatter gun, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to, but you can. And there's a hidden mechanic in there that the game doesn't hold your hand at all with its mechanics. It's just like figure it out. Like there are these uh, little puzzles, like these loot crates that you come across that you will unlock and open, and you get like gear, you'll get droid parts, you'll get more blasters. But to unlock them, you got to figure it out. They don't tell you what it is or what you're supposed to do. It's just they're like figure it out, and that's how it is with every mechanic in there. Just like well, just it's up to you to find out and use it on your own.
So in that sense,
And
it's also
that's
like Breath of the Wild because it's more of a playground with gameplay elements as well instead of just a small playground. It's a It's an experience on top of having all these elements you just have to sit and discover.
Yeah, yeah. Like it took me 2.5 hours into the game before I could realize like there's Bacta to heal you. Like you have health,
Hmm.
and I know it sounds really weird, but from Vadar Immortal, there was like no health thing. I mean, unless you're in the dojo, if you got hit too many times, then you lose. But in this one, there's like actual health, and health mechanics, and Bacta is in the game, which is so awesome. I really didn't think I would like it that much, but picking up Bacta, when you pick it up, there's a liquid in there and it moves around with gravity, and you get two uses out of them. If you use it once, depletes it halfway, and then you can like shake around the liquid that's in there. And I don't know, you just have to experience it to kind of understand the stupid little detail. But you can like attach it to your wrists for quick use. So if you're in a bind, you just get it from your wrist and apply Bacta. I didn't figure out that you could attach it to your wrist until like late in the game. I'm thinking I could have used this like 2 hours ago when I was getting my butt kicked.
How does this compare to other VR experiences in general? Because I mean, we've played Squadrons in VR. We've
Hmm.
played Population One together. You've played a ton of indie games on your Oculus as well.
Yes.
Um, so how does Star Wars compare, or Star Wars Galaxy's Edge compare to all your other VR experiences that you've had so far?
It's for a Quest native game, it
Hmm.
is my favorite game of all the Quest titles that are out there right now.
Wow,
My
that's saying a
my
lot.
absolute yeah, it is saying a lot. It is my absolute favorite. It was Population One
Yeah.
for when it dropped. I'm like, this is it.
Yep.
And then when I got Star Wars, I thought, yeah, I like this more.
Okay.
And it's
Well,
just, and I'm a single player guy anyway,
right.
so there's that small bias that lean way more towards single player games.
Sure. Sure. We all have
But
our little
it's
things.
yeah, so yeah, it's my favorite game of on the Quest.
Is there
But
a
when you compare it,
I was gonna say, is
uh,
go ahead.
oh, I was about to say when you compare it to things that like you can use Oculus Link with, it doesn't quite compare because there's like No Man's Sky,
Right.
there's the Suicide Guy, um,
Star Wars
there's Star
Squadrons.
Squadrons. There's all these high level VR games that are out there because Quest has considerably less power, so you're not going to get as much out of it.
Right.
But for Quest Native, that's my favorite so far.
Does it have original music, or does it recycle like Star Wars music and stuff, or does it use a
It's
hybrid of both?
it's all original. All of it.
Oh.
So they got two composers on it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember their names, but they did a fantastic job with the score. Fantastic job. Um, they have like 6 or 10 different Cantina songs that you can listen to. All of them are
Wow.
super different,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds really good. These guys really nailed it with the Star Wars theme without recycling any of the themes that we've heard before.
Mm-hmm.
They did a very nice job. And that's another negative I'll say is the blaster sound design was not particularly impressed with when we
Really?
have when we have titles such as like Battlefront and
Yeah.
Battlefront 2, the recent ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I
I
don't
know
care
they
what
have
people say, but the sound design of those games, they've set a whole new bar. Yeah.
incredible. So when you have those kinds of sounds, and then you go to Tales from Galaxy's Edge, and they're not as impactful
Mm-hmm.
as they could be, it kind of ends up sounding like the blasters from Rebels. Actually, it's not. There's not a lot of punch in there.
When you say Rebels, you mean the
Star Wars
game
Rebels,
or the
uh, the
show?
um, the TV show.
Okay.
Blasters kind of sound like that, underwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, and like I've even created MP3 files with the Battlefront blasters for like my own audio dramas that I've worked on,
Mm-hmm.
and they work fine. And it was just kind of like I could have done that, like just grabbed a couple of those sound files, got the echo in there for when you needed it,
Mm-hmm.
and we need like actually all of it takes place outside. Now I think about it, you would just use that one MP3 file for this blaster and wouldn't impact the size much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could do that. So I was just kind of disappointed. But other than that,
I wonder if I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it's a size thing, but you can always compress those and still make them sound great.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But other than that, the other sound design is great. everything else is great. It is amazing, fantastic. Everybody who worked on it, audio wise, I mean, other than the blaster sounds, everything else is amazing, fantastic. And I'll also say this is the first Quest game that I've seen have ragdoll physics in it.
I'm trying to think if I know of any. And you're talking native, right?
Yep. Well, actually, Population 1 does.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't want to rag on it because we're not like talking about Population One, but I mean,
Yeah.
they're your like standard, like indie type of ragdoll physics where they just kind of, I think it's just going based on the engine, whereas like your say, I don't know, like a Call of Duty or a Halo or something like that has realistic like falling and reactionary and it doesn't bug out as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This one is on that level.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I was like shocked when I saw it. Like, I took out this one Guavian Death Gang sentry and took him out, and he fell over a cliff with his little blaster rifle, and it looked amazing. I was like, I didn't know this had ragdoll physics. They didn't say anything about that. And of course, sound design amazing for everything. So yeah, that was a shocker, super shocker.
I gotta get
Anything?
this game. I gotta get it now.
Yeah, it's great. It's way more than meets the eye. Um,
Mm.
Story rise, yeah, like I said, it's all right. Super basic, no real plot twists or anything. Pretty straightforward. What's going on? The Sleazel Slack story that he tells you about the Jedi and with Yoda, that's a really powerful moment. ILM said it was going to be, and it is.
Wait, when does this take place within the Star Wars lore?
Okay, so the main story takes place before before I think it's before Return of what was the most recent Star Wars movie?
Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of Skywalker. I think it takes place before that, and maybe in and around like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Because Sleazel Slack drops a couple of lines that he has a couple of theories about stuff. I'm like, okay, well, obviously this takes place before Rise of Skywalker. So I think it's sometime before that.
Okay.
And then the story he tells you takes place in like the High Republic era.
Whoa.
So it's before Clone Wars, but
Yeah.
after the Old Republic,
Yeah.
because Yoda's alive.
Right?
But that story is really
Would
good.
you say even before episode one, even?
Yeah, it's before episode one. Way before episode one.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that story was really good. That was like I mean, I hate to say, but in that 15, 20 minutes of side story that you did, it gave you way more story than the entire campaign did. But again, the entire campaign is all about the gameplay elements, less
Mm,
about the story,
gotcha.
which I was okay with.
Okay.
I was just happy to be a gunslinger uh, in Star Wars.
Who
Um,
wouldn't be though, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess there's like quite a few people who didn't want to do that, but
Oh,
quite a few
because they
people who
want
wanted
lightsabers,
like,
right?
yeah, they want lightsabers. I'm like, they already did that.
What do you
Uh,
what do you think
but I
is
understand that they
next?
wanted what?
I said, what do you think is next for VR? What's the next step for Oculus, for Star Wars in particular? What's the next step that they should take, in your opinion?
They probably should create a longer story thing. They should really get something like along the lines of,
Like a Jedi Outcast, or is that too long?
yeah, like a Jedi Outcast. A lot of people want a like Jedi Academy in VR, that kind of thing.
But here's the thing: I don't want those games remade in VR. I want a
Yeah,
totally unique experience in VR where it's a full-on game where it's gonna take me hours
yeah,
to beat. I don't want those games remade.
yeah, yeah. Same here. Like something new. But that's where they should go. Is something that now elevates it. So they did the story part, they did the gameplay part. Now they got to marry the two, and then make it even better. So, we're I would love to see uh something like, not completely like, but something like uh Jedi Fallen Order, I mean, we don't have to do lightsabers in the Jedi or the Sith. We could still do something like, something like the Mandalorian, or
Mm-hmm.
something that doesn't require so much lightsaber. It seems like I'm against the lightsaber, but it's like those are most of the Star Wars games anyway.
Yeah, that's true. We do have a lot of lightsabers, and I get it. That's what people want. I mean, it's what I want as
Mhm.
well. But at the same time, it's like I like having
I like having something a
things.
little different.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's why I liked Outcast as well, or yeah, Outcast
Yeah,
mainly because it wasn't solely just about the lightsaber, even though the lightsaber combat was amazing for its time.
phenomenal. Yeah, if there's something more like Outcast where it was a little bit of both, you had a lot of blaster action, but then you got a lot of lightsaber action, and you had a lot of force powers. There's got to be some middle that they can do, so you could have both
Mm-hmm.
and have a fantastic story. I mean, even like redoing Kyle Katarn's story, that's good enough. I mean, he's technically no longer canon anymore. They could remake him canon and have some other story with him.
Mm-hmm.
Easy as that.
So this is ILM's journey that they've had so far. They had the very short experience that you can still get on Steam, which is free to play. That was their
Hmm.
first like project. They were dipping their feet a little bit wet in VR. It's a phenomenal experience, but it literally takes like 5 minutes. Like it's not long at all. I wouldn't even call it a game. It's an experience. It doesn't take a whole lot.
Yeah,
It's like almost
like
like
a demo.
a demo or a short film, like because you don't
Hmm.
really do a whole lot.
Yeah, you really stand on one spot the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. So you got that, and then the next time they decided to make a game was with Vadar Immortal,
Hmm.
and me playing that, which I've only played Act One, but from what I did play, like the art direction, some of the like scripted events that happen, like the whole experience is second to none. Like when you get shot with the stun gun by the stormtroopers, like it scares me every time I play that scene or that little
Yeah,
section. And then seeing Darth Vader just kind of loom over you, it's like, oh my gosh, he might actually be this tall if like, he was standing right in front of me. Just that whole experience is incredible.
yeah.
And now with
It's
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, they seem to be taking small steps, like almost as if they're leading to something, you know?
yeah, definitely. And I've seen like how excited they were to make the game, and you can really tell how it just comes out in the game how excited they were to do it and how excited they were to show it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a solid game. You should really check it out, even though it's $25.
Mm-hmm.
That may be a little too high for some people to get like a 4 to 6 hour uh, game. But when it's on, the Oculus, that's actually a really good price for for what you get out of it.
Did you get it for free? I could have swore I saw a thing that on Facebook or something that said, "Oh hey, if you buy this, you get Galaxy's Edge for free."
I did not.
Okay.
I may have missed. There might be like a recent deal since it was dropping this week.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look into it, but I was happy to give ILM their money.
Okay, I was just curious because like it was just one of those things I thought I saw, but I haven't seen it
Mm.
since. I'm like, is this real? Is this not real? I don't know. So that's why I asked.
Okay. So yeah, to summarize, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, negatives. Um, as I said, it's kind of short, kind of short. Blaster sound design, not so great. Some control issues when it comes to things on your vest. Other than that, really good. Positives, it feels way more like a game. There's an inventory system. You got 4 different blasters, which is good enough. I mean, I hate to make comparisons, but just to like really compare, like Population One has a very limited amount of weaponry as well. There's only like 2 of each type, which comes out to like 8 total.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot. Uh, so I was not really disappointed in the blaster selection, and I liked how you have to continually have to scrounge for things. Like you run out of a charge, you can't recharge it, you got to throw it away, get a new one. But at the same time, there's blasters that I really liked that I really wanted to keep around, but I knew it was a finite resource. So I like that element. Inventory is great. The training droids that help you, that mechanic is great. Figuring out puzzles on your own, which was a lot of fun. Uh, there are, I think, 4 side quests that are included in the game. Those are pretty fun. I enjoyed it because I just love the theme and the way it looks. Graphically, really good. Looks really good for Quest 2. I don't know how much more they could have squeezed out of it, to be honest. It looks pretty fantastic. Lighting is fantastic as well.
I just realized
Uh,
something. It dropped today, and you finished it today.
yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah, yeah. It took a couple of recharge sessions. Had to recharge it a couple of times throughout the day. Um, so yeah, sound design great. Music is phenomenal in this game. It really is great. Music is great. All the rest of the audio in there is great, except for the blasters. Not a big fan of. Everything else, fantastic. It's fantastic.
If you could score, what would
Um,
you give it?
I would give it about a 9 out of 10. It's a really solid game, polished game. I really enjoy it. Only ran into 2 bugs, uh, which the way it works is kind of like I don't know. You have your hub, which is the cantina, and then you have like 6 other locations that you can go to. There's like a Mubo's repair shop that you go to from time to time, and that's kind of like the shop to buy more stuff if you run out. And then the Batu Wilds is the rest of the locations. But in those, it doesn't sound like a lot of locations that you go to, but in each location there are huge portions of it. Like I would compare it to Bogano on Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the scale ish that we're looking at here.
Okay,
About
that's
in
pretty
terms of
nice though,
looks.
especially for a game that has to fit on a headset, and your cheaper version only has 64 gigs.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's not full Bogano, like it's not like the entirety of Bogano, but that's kind of like the idea of how large that one planet is that you're on. So it's not like you go to a little spot, you go to the next little spot, so on and so forth. They're quite kind of large. I was really shocked. But going between one zone to another zone, it bugged out and it got stuck, and I just did shut down the game, load it back up, and I was fine. There was another one. Like there's one texture little glitch that I ran into with one of the plants didn't load quite right. Um, Actually, I think that was it. Yeah, that was only 2 things. But you will revisit those locations, kind of like how Fallen Order does it. Like you'll go through a location, do one thing, you come back, and they're like, okay, we got to do this, and then you go through those locations again, but different things happen. So that's actually really nice. Um, but yeah, Tales from Galaxy's Edge,
Nine out of
solid game,
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Check it out. It's definitely worth the time, definitely worth the money to check it out. Plus, they got some DLC that's coming out. I don't know if you're going to have to pay extra for those. I'm guessing yes. And the thing that I really hope that they do with these DLCs is also add more to the main story, not just give you another 15-minute, 20-minute side story. I hope they actually add more to where by the end of their development, it's going to be a full like 10-15 hour story. That's what I hope for.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
Really hope
are there
for.
any release dates for the DLC yet?
Nope, no release dates for the DLC. They did hint that you would continue the story that was in uh, part 1 with the Padawan. You play as a Padawan for a little bit. They hinted at maybe doing that a little bit more, at least in the game dialogue. They hinted at that's what's coming up next, which I don't want to sound terrible, but I hope not. I hope they actually do other stories like they had talked about in a lot of their blog posts and their interviews, saying that you go through you know Clone Wars era, High Republic era, Galactic Civil War era. I hope to see that they stand true to those. Or the DLCs could add just all these crazy stories. No, I don't know. I don't know what they've got going, but that's what I hope is more main story, more side stories. I'd be happy.
My Oculus comes, my Oculus 2, because I have an Oculus 1. My Oculus Quest 2 is supposed to be here either Monday or Tuesday. As of
Nice.
this recording, it is 11:19 on a Thursday. So as soon as it gets here, I might drop some money and experience it myself. Maybe I'll play it on a stream. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty neat. If you can get it, try it on Quest One. I'd give it a shot on Quest One, and then you can see for yourself the difference on Quest Two.
All right, I'm excited. And
Solid.
if you guys liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you're on YouTube. If you are elsewhere, just subscribe and tell your friends. It's the best way to get for us to get exposure. Um, we got more stuff coming up. We will be creating
Yep.
content again. Donovan already said that he released a new board game video. I actually have what by the time this comes out, it'll have already come out. A review for Summerland
Hmm.
from Fire
Yep.
Games, and I'm interviewing Connor. Although by the time this video comes out, I have already done the interview.
Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
Is there anything else we have? I don't think we have any plans. Oh, watch out for our Twitch and YouTube channel. We have a
Yes.
series coming up soon, very
Yes.
soon, that we are excited to record and debut. It'll stream on Twitch. It'll eventually go to YouTube after we're done.
Yeah. So stay tuned for those.
And
Stay alert to our Twitch for sure.
yeah, and stay. Yeah, we got more stuff coming down the pipeline. Let's go. We're back. RDP's back,
Yeah.
baby.
Took a little while to kind of recover from all this, get
Yeah,
back on track.
we got a little burned out and had to take a small break, even if it was 3-4 months. Had to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're back. And as
Refreshed and
always,
ready to go.
have a rad day.